Jonan and classmates, I decided this week, instead of writing out my revisions for the week, that I would do a screen-o-matic because I'm kind of excited about the revisions that I did this week. First, a quick shout out to Kimberly Scott for showing me the video on how to make rubrics because that's what I focused my revisions on this week. I went back and recreated both the rubrics um, for both of the two courses or assignments, excuse me, that I created for last week. So real quick, what I also learned from the video, although it was just kind of a side thing, was how to do outcomes. And if you click on outcomes here, I went back and I basically developed all the outcomes and I labeled them. For instance, here is compare and use outcome, which is module number 2, and so on and so on. And so through here though is where I learned how to do manage rubrics, and these are the two rubrics that I actually created. The first one is this one, and as you'll see here, that what I try to do with the rubrics is where before the rubrics from last week only had one rating, so it was like it looked like you either did it or you didn't, which I know there was a comment from one of my colleagues or classmates that mentioned that seemed a little harsh, and it was because I actually had not learned how to do this part of it. So now that I've learned how to do it, I'm really excited. I used a pretty simple format of exceeds, meets, and does not meet, and then no entries, indicating that if you didn't put anything in at all, you could get 0 points. One of the things I would say is if I was to use a rubric in this type of class, the rubric would be designed more to guide the person versus grade them. My goal would be that everybody in the end would get to at least the exceeds, or excuse me, at least a meet minimum, but hopefully to the exceed, because their effort would be that they'd want to do as much as possible considering what we're trying to do here with the de-escalating the program. So back to the rubrics though, I'm going to go back to modules here, and the assignments that I created the rubrics in were module number 3. So here you could see that the rubric has been updated. If we go on to module number 4, I'm just going to navigate through here instead of I created a little bit more of a complex rubric here. And the other thing too is that, and so at the beginning I had the 4 criteria, and on the ratings I just had 1 rating for each, and I think it was just met, something extent of met address, right? But in this one I created it to where, meets, exceeds minimum standard, so on and so on. But even down here I went a little bit further because I wanted to show that this criteria is a little different than the first 3, in the sense that this one is actually how the overall plan is versus certain areas of the plan. I think what I may do is adjust this number of points based upon the fact that this is an overall aspect of it. But for me this week, or this part of the revision wasn't about just getting it right, but it was about learning. And so I really, again, appreciate Kimberly giving me some feedback in the video. And I think it was Teresa that said the comment about the rubric. I really appreciate that because that helped me kind of dig in a little bit more and learn a little bit more. I would be open to any kind of feedback from anybody on these rubrics and any ideas. For instance, one of the rubrics that we're working with George has the exceeds, meets, and does not meet up here, and I could not figure out how to do that. There's probably a way, but I just could not figure out how to do it myself. And for sake of time, I just decided to mess with the 2 rubrics versus doing some more, which oddly enough I had to hold myself back because I wanted to create rubrics for every single assignment that we create up to this point. I may take some time over the next few weeks to do that, so when we do our final presentation, the hope would be that you have a complete course in the LMS. So with that said, thank you for the feedback this week, and I hope you enjoy my revisions. And to infinity and beyond.